Board of Commissioners meeting for the town of Farmville. We're glad you came and to be with us today. Our guys are still coming in, but we'll be ready to go here. We're very pleased this afternoon to have with us Tim Liggett. Tim is the pastor of the Spring of Living Water Church here in Farmville, which is just so happens to be right across the street. And Tim is going to come and lead us in our invocation, after which I'll ask you to join with us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all rise, please?
You already said everything. You're looking at messages.
Mayor, I was thinking today, it's been decades that I've been coming here praying this now, and I'm very appreciative that I'm another year here.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all the kind sentiments and prayers that have been offered up for me and my family. We have appreciated, and it has meant so much. And it's an honor to be able to lead us in prayer tonight.
Honor to have you, Tim.
Oh, precious Father, you who have blessed us so tremendously to live in a country where we have the potential to say so much, to accomplish so much. And Father God, so often we have a tendency to think on all the things that aren't going right, the things that aren't happening. May we take the time just to consider for a moment all the privileges that we have, all the things that are going right, and the many opportunities that have been afforded us. I pray for this town council tonight. I pray, Father God, that you would be able to help them to discern the best choices for all that are available, for all those who are in need, Father. And we ask that you would just bless them with their time of service and bless their families, Father God, for the sacrifices that they have to put up in order to do the job for which they have volunteered for, Father. Watch over each one that is here tonight. And Lord, when everything is said and done, let us be so careful to give all the praise and the honor to you. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, once again, I want to welcome you here. If you picked up one of our agendas at the back of the room here, you'll be able to follow along with us this evening, or this afternoon. But I encourage you to get one. If you did, then you'll see that we're down to citizen presentations, item D. And that's where we allow you as citizens of the town of Farmville to address this board about anything that's on the agenda and not on the agenda. And we have 4 people signed up. We ask you to confine your remarks to 3 minutes, and we will listen very carefully. Like I said, we do have 4, and I'll call your name, and I'm not sure I can read this first one. Bulk, McKinney Bulk, Mackenzie Bulk. Mackenzie here.
Oh, okay. They may be the students from.
Okay, all right. Okay. And what about Sam Barrett and Donald Barrett? Same thing? Okay. All right, they're just checking in. By the way,
good job.
We are glad to have these students here with us, and you'll hear more from them as we move on into the agenda. But we do welcome all of you here. All right. Now we're down to town manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Just a few quick things. We invited the OSHA folks to come in and do a mock inspection of some of our facilities back just before Thanksgiving. They came on the 20th of November. And this is a consultative type inspection. They're looking for potential violations, but we invited them in, so there's no fines involved or anything. It's a way to help us stay on our toes, I guess. We did just today got the report back. They inspected the police department and the utility department. And they basically found, the feedback was extremely good. They found no hazards found in the police department, record keeping was good, no issues there. They praised the town, the police and utilities and in general for making safety a priority and all. So that was a nice comment. And then there was a couple minor things in the utilities department. One has already been addressed. The other should be addressed shortly. One's more of a record-keeping issue, which, will be easy to address. The other thing was a piece of equipment that we were needing to get an updated item, which we've actually already gotten. So all in all, very good report. We do these periodically in various departments, but those two were the first guinea pigs. So just wanted to mention that to you. A couple other things. We're involved, I think it started today maybe, Wes, but the garden club's working with Public Works. I saw some digging around there to beautify the town common. They're providing some expertise and suggestions as far as some plantings that would give it a little bit more color, and our guys are doing the labor. So, and of course giving input too. So that's going to be an ongoing project. I think they're trying to finish that this month. And then just a couple of events. Of course, Ms. Brenda knows all about the Christmas parade coming up on Saturday at 10:30. I know in the paper it mentioned it was 10 o'clock, but it's 10:30, which is, I guess that's always the time, 10:30 on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And then the May Museum's having a Christmas tea on Sunday from 3 to 5:30, and that's always a very nice event. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, David. Next, a financial report, and we know that that's included in our packet. And does anybody have any questions or comments about that? If not, changes, additions, or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, I have actually more than typical. Due to some requests from some of the folks on the agenda, I've got two items that the folks connected with these items have asked for the item to be tabled until or deferred to the January 7th meeting. That would be items 8, which is the Dalton's Cove subdivision infrastructure reimbursement agreement. That agreement's gone back and forth, and we finally got our final version to the folks who are developing that last week, and their attorney hasn't had a chance to review everything with her client, so got a call from Mr. Parrott today, and our attorney got an email from their attorney asking if it would be okay for this board to delay it till January 7th to allow everyone to have a chance to get it. We didn't have it in your packet anyway, so I think it works out well there. Also, item 9, the Strata solar request for a solar power overlay district. Strata has asked that that item be tabled also until January 7th to allow for them to make more community outreach. I know they're trying to schedule some meetings this month with the community, so I told them I would bring that to this board. And then we have one add item. You saw that there's some students from the high school and their guidance counselor that wants to speak to the board, and so that would be, they would need to go early in the agenda because these students have some other activities they need to get to, so those would be the changes.
Okay. All right, with the changes that the town manager has told us about, 2 items are being deleted and 1 is being added. And I do understand that these students need to get back to their other activities. So, board, if it's all right with you all, let's make, we'll put them ahead of the special presentation, and we'll name that 5A, if you agree. So.
Like a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion that we take items number 8 and 9 off of our agenda for discussion and add the special presentation by the former Central High School students to item number 5A.
Okay. All right, you heard the motion, and With this, I'll ask you to include your approval of the agenda at this time. All those in favor of this motion by Commissioner Elks, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. All right, now we're down to, thank you. Now we're down to the items for consent, and one of them is approval of the agenda, or the minutes, rather. Resolution authorizing the sale of surplus property, and ordinance amending the 2018-2019 budget, and also ordinance amending the fiscal year 2018 budget, police pistol range. All right, all of those are for consent. However, I do want to call your attention to the minutes of November the 5th. I'd like for you to approve those with the following changes, that on the first page, if you look at it, first page of the minutes, it says that by midway that I recognize David Dupree, and this should be Bobby Joyner that came and presented that about the Royal Park. So we're going to change that. And then also on page 4, on item 8, Commissioner Hobbs suggested that the policy allow for mid-year evaluation of employees than just annually. So with those corrections, would you approve this consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Dixon that the consent agenda be approved with these two corrections. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, the ayes have it. Now we're down to the items for decision and discussion, and I recognize the folks from Farmville Central that want to come and speak to this board.
Hello, my name is Tyler Russell. I'm a senior at Farmville Central. And the purpose for us being here today is to get help with ideas on how to increase our family and community awareness to improve the student environment at Farmville Central.
My name is Alicia Yarrell. I hope y'all are doing good today. I'm a junior from Farmville Central High School, and Farmville Central produces multiple information sessions throughout the school year. The format has changed over the years from separate upper and underclassmen events with all the information at one time to the events with multiple sessions for families to pick topics of choice.
Hi, my name is DeShaunti Palmer. I'm a junior at Farmville Central High School. Some topics that we have had in the past at our school is graduation requirements, scholarships, financial aid, college applications, ACT and SAT help, 8th grade open house, curriculum nights, and extracurriculum activities. Personally, I've been to almost all of these events at Farmville Central. I've helped with clubs like Link Crew with the events, and we have not had much parent or student involvement. When we had a parent night a couple months ago, there wasn't many parents there. It was kind of empty, so we was hoping to have more involvement with that.
I'm Sam Barrett, and I'm a senior at Farmville Central. We currently promote parent awareness sessions by daily announcements and flyers posted around the school, and postcards sent home, and posts on the school Facebook and Twitter accounts. Some people don't have Twitters and Facebook, so sometimes that could be kind of hard for people to see. But flyers are posted around the school and stuff. So.
Hey, my name is David Barrett. So some ideas we need help with is increasing parent awareness. We need help promoting our websites and all the announcements and stuff is just posted up there. Obtain parent emails to push announcements through the Power School app and to encourage community members to download the Power School app.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Book. I'm a senior at Farmville Central. Now that you are aware of what we are currently doing, what are some ideas from the town council on how to increase our family and community awareness to improve student achievements?
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody?
They face the same problems that we all do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, you're welcome to the real world.
Barry, you want to start on this end?
Yeah.
For the gallery, first of all, I want y'all to know that the mayor and I have, and you young folks out there, have embarked on communication with Pitt County Board of Education to ask them to have one of their monthly meetings here so that the folks in Farmville could come. Their meeting would be conducted as per their protocol. It wouldn't do anything to do with what the town does. We would just basically give them this courtroom so that they could come here and meet and conduct their businesses so that folks from Falkland and Fountain could come. The other thing I'll direct you to is a lot of folks on this board have worked very hard for Dalton's Cove. You heard that mentioned. Dalton's Cove is going to have, what is it, 42 homes, David?
Yes.
Will be 42 homes right across the street from Farmville Middle School. The schools are our largest employer, and that's why the town of Farmville School Board makes it our business to be involved in your schools. We made it our business for us to recruit developers to build homes here so that people with young people going to school, drop them off at kindergarten and pick them up when they graduate is a good thing. But we've also embarked on a mission that we need to help, not only from you young people, but from the administrators, because the mayor and everybody on this board, for 10 years, day one I got here, we have talked about why we want our teachers, why we want our principals living in the 27828 zip code. Because if your principals and your teachers don't live here, then how in the world can you expect somebody that's buzzed 15 miles away to go home at the end of the day and come back? Until the teachers and the principals start living here in the town where they work, then you're always going to have a problem with getting parents to come over. But you young folks, rest assured that the board you're looking at today, we're all about the business of education. We're all about the schools, and just like you, we've got to find the right person to listen to us. And on this day, we have yet to do that. But we have not given up. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Let me give you a little update on one of the comments that Commissioner Moore made, and that is that we have invited the school board, Pitt County School Board, to meet here, and actually the invitation was for this room, but they wanted to wait until the new board took place, and so that would be sometime in January. And they wanted it at the high school, but the school board is coming to speak to all of us. We will be there, and you will be there also. And
which consists of, we have a small operation over in Greenville, here in Farmville, Wilson. We had several different operations in Wilson, and in the western part of the state, we have another operation that's in conjunction with R.J. Reynolds, so it's outside of Winston-Salem. And you've probably read some that we are diversifying and moving into other things besides tobacco, which is led to, or the reasons behind that are some of the reasons that I'm here today. But first I wanted to say that obviously Alliance One is committed to our employees and to the town of Farmville, as well as our grower base spread out through 4 different states. And the decision, even though it was a difficult decision, it was a necessary decision, and it's strictly, I want to say economics, but it's more than economics. It's just the nature of the business that we're in. It's tobacco business, and it's continuing to decline, and we're having to grow less tobacco, export less tobacco, and utilizing less tobaccos domestically here in the U.S. There are several issues with regard to export, and that's what primarily Alliance One does, is exports tobacco out of the United States to other countries around the world. And a big part of it is not just cigarette consumption decline, but also the strong U.S. dollar and competing with other countries, particularly Brazil, for flavor styles of tobacco, which are the type of tobaccos that are grown here. So, and we've also going through some tariff issues with our country and China, which seem to be moving in a little better direction after the G20 summit this past weekend in Buenos Aires. But that being a contributing factor, not necessarily will change the situation. And I would like to explain, as I explained to Mayor Evans, the reason that we chose to consolidate in our Wilson facility instead of our Farmville facility is purely capacity. Here we have a 2-line operation, and in Wilson we have a 3-line operation. Bottom line is our total business, we can process it all in the Wilson facility, but we could not do it in the Farmville facility. Now, we are in discussions with our union, and obviously they need to make the decisions on their own, but to explain kind of how things went this year, we started out running this facility here in Farmville, which has 2 processing lines. We were running 2 lines, 3 shifts. Now, after the hurricane and several things, the overall volume declined, so we ended up running only 2 lines, 2 shifts. But in Wilson as well, we were running 2 lines and 2 shifts. So next year, that facility will be upgraded and going to a 3-line, 3-shift facility. So the majority of our employees are needed in our Wilson facility. And if you're not familiar with it, it's on Old Stantonsburg Road, right off of 264. So it's exactly a 20-minute drive from here to there. And we know that that also creates some potential hindrances to our seasonal employees. So we're looking and thinking about ways to help them there. But bottom line is, even though through the Warren Act and everything, the number looks big, and it is big, but the opportunity for, actually, we could say all of the seasonal employees to have employment in our Wilson facility is there. And hopefully we can work out a way to make that more convenient for them to get there. That's one of the things we're looking into. But as far as the offices, a few of the positions in the offices that are associated directly with the factory will migrate or need to be in Wilson sometime. But majority of all the office and the higher paying jobs will remain right here in Farmville. We're not closing the facility or the offices per se. And it is our expectation and hope that within a year or two that we will have some other operations in this facility. Right now, I couldn't say what that would be, but we are looking at several other different opportunities. And we have diversified into some other agricultural products. As your police chief understands, but so it's not, the main message I want to get across is, number one, it was something that couldn't be avoided. Number two, the reason that the Wilson facility was chosen over Farmville is purely for capacity. And number three, and the most important thing is, we're committed to the town of Farmville and we're committed to our employees. So that's the main messages that I would like for the board to take away. And I'm certainly willing to take any questions and do the best I can to answer them. We're still kind of working through all this ourselves. So.
Okay, anybody have any questions for her?
I just say I know it was a tough decision. We look forward to what the future may bring, and thank you for all the years that you've been in Farmville.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we appreciate all the support we've gotten and hope to continue to get from the town of Farmville. We sincerely appreciate that.
And I also want to thank you because you just stated that while you had to make the decision, there will be opportunities for the employees in Farmville to go to Wilson. Are you considering working out a transit system to help with the transportation?
We're considering that.
That's
yes,
very good.
Yeah, we're considering that. And to be perfectly honest, the economy's better, and that's good. Finding enough seasonal employees that don't have a full-time opportunities are not that easy anymore. So, so we truly are going to need all the employees here to help us in Wilson. So we're going to figure out a way to work that out.
What would the situation be like if you'd have run 2 lines there in Farmville and 1 in Wilson?
It's just Bay Evans, and and sitting where you're sitting, I can fully understand why you would ask that question. And look, from actual logistics or whatever, it works. But from a cost standpoint, it really doesn't. And that's to have, because you got so many functions through management, HR, all these other type of things, that you have to have duplicate functions if you're running 2 different facilities, as well as even when the factories aren't operating, we still use a lot of electricity and natural gas, but when they're both operating, you have to use just about as much to run 1 line as you do to run the entire facility. So it's quite a big difference in cost. And that's part of our strategy going forward, is to increase or at least stop the reduction of exports, and all of it has to do with being able to compete with the rest of the world and getting our cost in line. That's a very good question, and I would expect that.
I thought, one other thing, I know you all are doing things to help out these seasonal employees, transporting them to Wilson or doing, you and I talked about a situation about a week or so ago about
Yes.
the insurance. Can you elaborate on that? Is that?
Yes, and unfortunately, our lady here that's in charge of HR for this facility was on PTO today, but she's been in contact with Phil Lewis, and I just don't know whether they finalized the date, but he's coming in sometime in the really near future, in the next week or so, to set up something in the canteen to talk to all employees. Now, all of our employees that will be laid off, which is a normal process that they go through, they will still be eligible for the benefits that we offer through August or September, whenever we start processing again in Wilson. And hopefully they will be, part of what we're doing or part of what the union has to decide, because it's the same union but 2 different contracts. So these employees from here, keeping their seniority and things like that going into Wilson. So these are kind of little sticky things that we're working through now. But yes, that has been taken care of. She has been in contact with him, and I was told today that he is coming. I'm just not sure. She was on PTO, so I'm not sure. And also, just to mention, we gave you a copy of the Warren Act, or gave you the Warren Act notice. You will be getting an updated Warren Act notice, which is actually beneficial. We're able to, we got a little more extra business and a few other things, so we're actually going to run this facility a little bit longer than we had anticipated this year. So, so by law, we've got to update the Warren Act notice, but it's all from a positive side.
So your storage is still?
Storage is still here, and that's part of what storage is taking longer to clean out. We're a seasonal processor. We buy the tobacco, we process it, we fill up the storages, and then we empty them out as quickly as possible, as quickly as our customers will ship. But that's when we get paid finally. But yeah, the storage is still going to be operated here, as well as the offices. Most likely, unless something changes, we'll still have a receiving station here. We'll still be receiving tobaccos directly from the growers. And as I say, hopefully, it'll still be Alliance One, but hopefully it'll be something else that goes into that facility in the very near future.
Y'all don't pack tobacco in hogsheads anymore?
We still do for one customer.
Okay. Just want to mention that. I think Commissioner Hobbs' daddy was one of the first ones to build hogsheads.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's,
AC Monk.
yeah, we still
First
do it.
Independent contractor.
Yep.
Isn't that right?
That is correct.
And actually, I would say it's Philip Morris USA, so that, so it's, we sell them some tobacco, but most of what we do, they contract their own tobaccos and we process it for them, and, but they still use hogsheads. But they're the only ones.
Just goes to show you that we do have a long history.
Yes, I know. Well, we've been in Farmville, I think, about 108 years. And one of our other predecessor companies that came out of Danville, Virginia, I think they're close to, that was the Dibble Brothers, I think they're about 150 years. So we've got a long presence, particularly here in Farmville. So we're not turning our back on that.
Yeah, okay.
We appreciate it.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I appreciate you choose your words candidly and carefully, especially when you talk about the other products you're going to be processed in the near future. But, and we have to do the same thing, recognizing this is an open session. We are allowed to talk about economic development activities in a closed session, and if it's okay with the board and the town manager says it's okay, I think we'd love to have you back in a closed session. And the reason is, we are certainly responsible and working for the 500 employees that you have and hopeful that they'll gain employment in Wilson. But we also represent the businesses and shopkeepers and restaurants and, other local folks who benefit from the $15 million worth of annual salaries that are going to be eliminated in Farmville. And we'd like to bring some of those wages and salaries back to Farmville and work with you to do that in the quickest way possible.
Yes.
And I think we'd probably love to help us strategize in the best way to do that sometime in closed session.
Yes, I would be happy to. And my schedule's always fairly busy, but I'll make time and just give me plenty of notice. And I want to reiterate, most of the full-time office positions that support lunches here and things like that, the majority, say 90% of those are staying right here in Farmville. So from, and I know most of it goes to Pitt County, but from a tax base and all, everything stays pretty much status quo.
Those two lines will still be.
One line will be operational, I'm sorry, Pat. One line will continue to be operational. One line, parts of that will be taken and used to upgrade some things in Wilson as well as a couple of our other places offshore. But there will be one line that remains operational.
All right, before you leave, I just want to, and this comes as no surprise, I want to make this board aware, and I know Ms. Johnson is aware that Alliance One, that we know, has always supported the town of Farmville, and they're one of the biggest contributors to our Dogwood Festival. And Herbert, to see me, he sees me about every April.
Yeah, just about every April.
But we do appreciate that.
Yeah,
That has really helped us grow the festival.
Yeah, and look, we're committed to continuing that support.
Okay. All right. If nobody else has anything, we'll let him go back to work.
Well, thank you so much, and if there are any other questions or any other things that need clarification, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6 is donation of real property.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. This property is located at 4305 West Pine Street, Pitt County parcel 17600. If you guys probably remember, several months ago, this came before you, and at that time, you gave them 90 days to bring this up to minimum housing standards or to demolish the property. After that 90-day period, there was no action taken on this. I had several conversations with the owner, and I tried to help him line up a contractor to take the house down. He was going to pay for it, but then he finally decided that he would rather just donate the property to the town, let us take it down. And the taxes are current, up to date, except for this current year. There is, Pitt County is owed $114.43. I'm not sure about the town of Farmville. Allison was not here, so I didn't get that today, but it's going to be somewhat less than that. But it'll be less costly to the town to accept this donation rather than go through the process of foreclosing, tearing it down, foreclosing, and all that. So at this time, we're requesting that you guys approve this request.
What can be done with this?
Well, it'll be a lot. The property, the house itself, nothing will be done. It needs to be torn down.
The lot itself will be.
It'll be one that we'll put on the auction. It'll be a building lot. I mean, you know, it's a decent lot.
Whatever we sell for minus the 114 is profit.
Correct.
And whatever we had to pay the guy to tear it down, but you know.
Say you gotta do that.
Yeah.
What was that, $3,000-$4,000?
Yep. Yep.
I'm not going to regret voting for this, Emma Paul.
No, not at all. let me rephrase that, not to my knowledge.
Roughly, what is that lot? What do we think it's worth?
More than $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah,
More than
yeah.
You can do that, you can figure out what taxes they don't figure that out.
That's right.
You can figure that
That's
out.
right, yeah.
All right, any more questions for Paul? Okay, is there a motion then that we accept this property?
I move that we vote to demolish 4305 West Pine Street
And accept this,
and accept this as a donation to the town.
okay. We got that motion, Amy? Okay, any discussion on this? All those in favor of this motion, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Ayes have it. You can proceed, Paul. All right, agenda item 7 is the consideration of a new lease with the Boys and Girls Club. I guess, David, you're gonna handle this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Some of you will recall were on the board at the time, back 5 years ago. Prior to 2013, there was a lease with the Boys and Girls Club to occupy the property on Park Street that the town owns, and the lease was somewhat loose, and there was a lot of gray area to say the least, and so we, at that time, worked with the leadership of the Boys and Girls Club and worked out a mutually agreeable lease that the board, this board and their board could live with. And over the course of the last 5 years, we've had, some ups and downs, but for the most part, it's worked out really well. The Boys and Girls Club obviously are providing, programs in the community. They've also made improvements to our property at their expense, and we've shared any sort of large capital expenditure. Wes and Will and I walked through with the Boys and Girls Club folks a few weeks ago, and they also identified some additional improvements that they would like to make. Obviously, they don't want to do that unless they have a lease that makes it worthwhile. So what's in your packet is a lease that's been updated over what we had 5 years ago, because certain conditions don't apply anymore, and have adjusted a few things here and there to reflect hours of operation on their part and our part, that kind of thing. So the current lease expires December 31st, and the proposed lease here is to extend that lease for another 5 years. And also, we would anticipate that the Boys and Girls Club will make probably even more capital improvements to the property and the grounds and the building during the 5 years if they can get this extended lease, and of course, continue to grow programs there in that facility for farm kids. And we've got DJ Jones here from the Boys and Girls Club. If there are any specific questions for their operation, he's here to answer any questions.
Do you have any comments you want to make, EJ?
Yes, sir, real quick. Thank you very much, you all, definitely for the continued support of our program. I think it's been over 20 years that Boys and Girls Club has been part of the Farmville community. As an organization, next year will be our 50th year. And so we have a new CEO that came on board in March, who happens to live here in Farmville, Ms. Kimberly Boyd, so I'm here on her behalf. But we're definitely excited about the new vision that she has for us, focus on workforce development, career exploration with our middle and high school kids, but also making sure that our third graders are proficient in reading, and also that our middle school kids are proficient in math, because we understand the challenges if they're not. And so she has a total great futures plan, as she calls it. We started a little bit of it already in Farmville, called a Club Academy program. And so we're in the elementary schools with a full-time education director that's assisting those young people that are struggling in school and not at the level and standard that we want them, assisting them in the school during the school day and also back at the club location. We want to be able to provide more and more of that for the young people that we serve. Understand we're serving a population of young people that may not have all the opportunities and all the exposures that we provide them. And it's because of you all support, that we're able to do the work that we do to be able to hopefully provide a service back to the Farmville community. And we just want to continue those services, definitely expand the impact that we are providing at a much higher level, and continue to make sure that the young people from first grade all the way up until their senior year in high school has a place where they can develop and grow and continue to fulfill their dreams and passions for their local community and for their own future. So just want to thank you all for what you all have provided to us. Hopefully it's a partnership we can continue. We have a group of donors that are very interested in continuing to invest in our Farmville location. Of course, our thing is, well, we have to wait and see how long you all go be there before we can, write a check. And we have had some small improvements in the past, and some even more in the more recent past. And like Mr. Hodgkins just said, we have some more ideas that we want to provide within that program. And it's just not for just our club kids, but any kid that want to be a part of it. We want to serve those other kids that may not be current members, but just may need a place for it and to participate in a certain program that we offer. We want to be able to open up to all the young people in the community. And again, just thank you all, and hopefully it's a partnership that we can continue.
Thank you. Did you say how many kids you were servicing?
We're serving about 80 kids a day, probably a total of probably about 160 kids in our total membership right now. Our building, comfortably for us that we don't want no more than 100 kids in there a day. So we have room to grow, but we also understand that our kids are participating in a lot of different things in the community as well. And so as long as they're doing something positive, they don't have to be at the club every single day. But we do have room to bring more kids in, and we do want to continue to grow that program and keep the program at capacity.
Is there any other Farmville organization using that gym or any part of that?
Parks and Recs, of course, is using it. I think on Wednesdays, there's a homeschool that's using it in the morning time. But just like the lease says, it's available, before our kids get there during the day. They have access to our computer lab, access to our games room, got access to anything that we have in that building. Just communicating and letting us know, and making sure that, we all take care of the property and the stuff. We have no problem with anybody coming in that building, because it's not our building. We're just using it for our program.
Yeah, the homeschool PE that DJ mentioned, that's actually a Parks and Rec program also. That's through Farmville Parks and Rec. It's just for kids that aren't in school, they're homeschooled, so we offer a PE class for them once a week. So.
DJ.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know because I was on that board, can you explain the structural changes in the board and how it works now, that there's not a local Farmville board any longer, and how it changed, how that structure changed? Because I don't think that some people in the Farmville community know that there's no longer just a specific Farmville board. Will you explain how that works now?
Yes, ma'am. July 1st, 2017, we actually merged with Boys and Girls Club of Coastal Carolina. They serve Carter and Craven County. Boys and Girls Club of America, along with some of our donors and some other business individuals that supported both organizations, thought it'd be a great opportunity to merge the organization based on the infrastructure that we currently have, and the opportunity to really regionalize our organization. So we went from 11 clubs in 5 counties to now 17 clubs in 7 counties. And through that, we've been able to, there's a lot of foundations that we caught their attention real quick, a lot of foundations in Raleigh that we're actually getting some funding from that's helping support because of regionalizing. But with that, we also looked at our total structure, not only our staff structure, but also our volunteer board structure. And so, of course, bring in a corporate board that represented from every community, but also our advisory boards. And so our Farmville Advisory Board and also our advisory board that we had in Ayden, we actually merged with some of our individuals in Greenville to have just a Pitt County Advisory Board with representation from every community that we serve. And we're always looking to, address that, making sure we have those people to fill in the gaps with those talent and the expertise that we need, but also making sure that every community that we're serving, their voice is heard. One thing we are looking at going into 2019, even though we do not have a board, say in Farmville or in Ayden anymore, having some type of small organization or friends of the club to still support specifically Farmville, because, of course, we don't have the eyes and the ears and the feet on the ground all the time, but we know there's individuals that live here in Farmville that can definitely bring some value and bring some insight to how our club needs to flow. We don't want to be making decisions in Greenville for any of our local communities. We want those communities making decisions based on what the need is for that community, and we providing that support for them. And so we did change the structure, having just county-wide advisory boards throughout, but we are looking at still opportunities to bring in individuals even within those counties to be able to support our local clubs with their skill sets and knowledge.
TJ, 20-some years ago, when a group of folks got together in Farmville.
Yes, sir.
And wanted to do this and talked about it and remember it well and started meeting and planning. I don't think there's ever been a moment is being one of those that was there in the beginning. I've been disappointed with anything the Boys and Girls Club has done. One of the things I think that I've had the most, I kept my eye on and the most respect for is your commitment. That school does not end in school, and you pick it up when they get there. And I recommend to this board and anybody that has never been by there and watched what you do with these young people with their after-school studies before they get to do other things. It's something you can always be proud of. And I tell you what, I've done a lot of things. One of the things I'm most proud of is being there at the beginning for the Boys and Girls Club, and I still salute you for what you do.
Thank you so
Mayor,
much.
I'd like to make a motion on this.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
I'm ready to do this.
Well, I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you're talking about these upgrades that you're talking about wanting to do to the board,
Ma'am.
I know, and this is a David, probably and a Wes question too, I know that there is an insurance issue with the flooring in the gym, that you all have some people that you're retaining down in Carteret County to do some work that could come in. Has any of that been settled yet with the insurance company and trying to get that done? The gym floor?
You're talking about, has the work been scheduled or has?
Yes.
Okay, the work has not been scheduled.
Okay.
We discussed that during our meeting a few weeks ago, and DJ provided some quotes from some folks that they had worked with down in Carteret County.
Right.
And so there was sort of a choice of whether we were going to redo the entire floor or do parts of it. And we haven't gotten back together to make that decision, but the information I think is in hand now.
Okay, good.
But again, all that would be contingent on the lease being extended, because, they're going to participate in that, obviously, but if they're not in the building, there's, so everything was sort of put on hold until this board decided on the lease.
Okay, perfect. Now I'm ready.
Okay, but before Commissioner Moore makes a motion, does anybody else, you got a question?
I do. The upgrades you're talking about making, in terms of dollars, can you give us a ballpark?
Yeah, it won't be like it was in the past. It won't be $400,000 rooms or $50,000 or $70,000 room renovation like we did in the past. But we're looking at just basically making sure that the bathrooms are updated, looking at the fixtures, making sure the partitions in there. Actually, we got a guy going in next week to put the partitions in, looking at the flooring, looking at the lights, making sure that the heat does work. Just all of these, some cosmetic aesthetics looking things more than just construction, renovating a whole room. There's a room that has a sink in it, and we want to take the sink out and make it into like an innovation lab. So those type of more programmatic updates with just making some aesthetically that the building looks good, putting a buzzer on the door so people just can't walk in, have to be buzzed in, maybe enclosing the front so it's a separation just for child safety purposes that anybody can benefit from. And so it's
That needs to be done.
right. And so we may be looking at a $20,000-$25,000, just different, popping in different rooms, looking at different upgrades and that, but it won't be the magnitude of we've done in the past, not yet.
Okay.
But
No.
as we continue to dream and, anything could be possible. Yes, sir.
Looking at the town manager and Chris, are we, based on my understanding of Section 5 of the lease, we're paying for half of that, those upgrades he's talking about then?
We pay for half of any capital improvement that's $2,000 or greater.
So if he spends 25, we're also spending 25?
No, those are just, right, so we just look like plumbing, HVAC, electrical, that's really the only thing, roof.
Yeah.
That's maybe some of the things that we
The only things that we really spent on during this 5 years that I recall are air conditioning units. Is that correct? That we've spent?
Yeah, heat and air issues.
Yeah, and if you remember, or if you have noticed in the lease, the agreement is to amortize that over a 5-year period, but the Boys and Girls Club has been paying their half right away. So they have actually, when our bill comes in, we bill them and they are paying their portion of that. So it's usually something pretty big. It's not just painting or whatever. They did some carpeting, all that. We didn't pay for any of that. That was totally done by the Boys and Girls Club.
So if he's talking about spending 20 or 25, we're spending 10 or 12,000, or we're spending 20?
No, that's what they're putting in.
That's what we're willing to do.
They're not asking us for anything. Our thing is like systems, like maintenance.
Should we write an addendum to the lease then because the way I see it, it says owner, at owner's sole cost and expense, shall maintain and repair as needed the premises, interior and exterior, including but not limited to everything. And that doesn't say tenant's expense, it says owner and owner's expense.
The last lease had a reference to the painting or the carpeting in the front area of the building specifically because that was already identified. We might be able to just identify some of those things the same way we did in the last lease that would be specifically at the cost of Boys and Girls Club. If that would.
I love what we're talking about. I just don't see what we're talking about on paper. I see something different on a piece of paper.
We could probably work out.
Yeah, we can address that. We can address that and make it clear.
Yeah, he's already sent me an email earlier about some of the things they were going to do. It didn't have a dollar figure on it, but he mentioned most of the things just now off the top of his head, but there were several things. It was, but none of them rises to the level of any single item that's $2,000 or more.
Then that means we're paying for 100% of it.
No, we're not paying for any of that. The things that he's doing, he's not paying. We're not paying any of it.
I understand what you're saying. The lease needs to be clear, right?
The lease says we're paying for 100% of it.
In excess of.
Right, because the things I mentioned, that's all Boys and Girls Club.
We're basically just paying for just routine maintenance things now. If something breaks, like a toilet, is, what's a good example?
The expense that I was unaware of is that we replaced the heating and air unit. It cost like $6,500. They paid that. They sent us a check reimbursement. We paid the first. We paid the whole bill. They reimbursed us half. The maintenance on it, when I would call like Fire and Ice to come do the actual maintenance. Now that was on us. We took care of those deals. So we took care of the heating and air issues, except for the replacement, and then they split the cost.
Yeah. So the routine stuff like we would do in this building where we would have the guy check our system once a year or whatever, or if the air conditioning went out but didn't need a major replacement, it would be on us as a landlord.
Again, I love what we're talking about. I think you are as well as we are well that one of the problems that arose several years ago between the town and the Boys and Girls Club is that verbal agreements weren't expressed well in writing. And I think we would be remiss if we did not express better this verbal agreement that we seem to have reached in writing as opposed to the way it is written now.
We can add that. We can add a section that specifies what they're going to do with their costs. That's a good suggestion.
So,
can we still approve this knowing that that's going to be done?
Yes, you can make that as a condition of your motion or whatever.
Okay, Commissioner Moore.
I've always seen the Boys and Girls Club as an extension as our commitment to our schools. I've also seen it as an extension of our recreation department. I have no problem by asking this board to approve this proposed lease agreement with the added changes that Commissioner Dixon and the town manager are going to put in here.
So your motion is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, y'all have heard the motion. Now we've, but our question period. You understand, I think, Commissioner Dixon's concern. So given that, is there any discussion? Do you want to go any further now? Before you ask questions, now you can.
Let me just ask if Commissioner Moore would, I guess, more specify his motion in what I'm specifically talking about, or the town's obligations to pay any portion of the.
I ask that that be put in the motion as per your statement.
I appreciate it.
David's commitment to do it. Yes, sir. And I think that's.
Any more discussion, anybody? All right, all those in favor of this motion, which is dependent upon correcting some of the things or changing some of the things that Commissioner Dixon has asked about, and I think we have to go ahead and approve it today because it ends in December, is that right?
Yes, sir, December 31st.
Okay, so, all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, and David, aye.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we can.
You may have to work with him. All right, I think,
Add one thing before we go next item. I
Yeah.
think adding that local board is going to put the Boys and Girls Club in a whole different new light. It's going to create an opportunity to explore where a new facility can go for the Boys and Girls Club. And I think it'll also keep the community involved a whole lot more so they know exactly what's going on. Because in my opinion, the Boys and Girls Club has got a lot of great opportunities in Farmville. And I think this board will play a big role in that. So, thank you.
okay. All right, agenda item 8 is Dalton's Cove, and that has been pushed to January, and also has been delayed until January, the public hearing, well, not a public hearing, but the solar power overlay district. That has been delayed until January also. Now, I guess that brings us down to item 10, which is a retreat. This is something that anybody had, what David has suggested would be sometime the week of February 18th through 22nd. So how do y'all feel about this?
We've been meeting on Monday and Tuesday, but, you know, it's up to the board. We were just, if you want to stick in that same time we've been meeting the last several years, that would be the week.
I'm okay with that week, but will we have the same facilitator? Jim Enzor, will he come?
I'll have to check his schedule, but.
Will the board also have an opportunity, because I've got two things that I want to get on this agenda, will we have an opportunity to put those on the agenda to discuss?
Yes, your next meeting, I'm going to come to you with some ideas for an agenda. And if you have those ideas, go ahead and send them to me. I'm asking the staff tomorrow to try to get it to me before the end of the month.
And can we have prior to the meeting, can we, for the benefit of can it be recorded or whatever to make sure that the people see our report card? They need to know that these retreats, and Mayor, help me because you've been here a while, our retreats have been very productive over the years, and that report card has been important that the folks in Farmville know that what we've done, what we plan to do, we've done. And I still don't know if we're getting that word out there good enough. I know we had the review last time, but that is so important. If we're going to shut down and meet for 2 days, that if what we say we're going to do, we do. And I think that report, even if we had to buy the space in the paper or somewhere, it needs to be let people know what we're doing. Because, Mayor, will you agree that the past retreats with the follow-up have been productive for us?
Yeah, yes. And I'm looking at Angela now. She's going to be there, or someone from the paper's going to be there. Maybe we can get bigger coverage or more coverage by talking to.
Right. There are several items that are bigger, in my opinion, than we've discussed in years past. Alliance One is a big one, is a huge one. Also, my friend Bobby's here. I want to talk about the town's commitment to the Memorial Park for H.B. Suggs. Those are some of the things, and I'm not going to tie the board up, Mayor, but that's the kind of things that I want to make for sure that we get on there, rather than you know, I think we understand the housing problem we got and where we're going. But if we're willing to do that and get those items on there, I'd like to see us go up that. If that Monday's the 18th of February, I'm all about it. Let's roll.
Angela, I'll talk to you about this probably in the future. See if we can get, David, you have a problem with that getting it covered through the fall enterprise more extensively?
Oh, no, sir. No. I mean, I think, I know she did a story, it may have been in a part of a bigger story, but I remember reading about the report card, I believe, in one edition recently. But certainly we can try to get the word out a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably need to work with her on that. All right, Commissioner Moore, did you make a motion for this?
Kind of lengthy, so stay with me.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we have our annual retreat on February the 18th and 19th in this facility here.
It's here.
Starting
Sunday,
at,
Monday?
Is that a Sunday or is that a Monday? It's Monday the 18th?
19th and 20th, isn't it?
Is that February, what day is that Monday?
The Monday's the 19th.
Okay, Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th, is that right?
No, it's Monday is the 18th.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Hobbs, what calendar are you looking at, dude?
I'm reading
sorry,
from the notes.
The agenda, I'm sorry, the agenda may be wrong.
I'm reading from the notes.
You got, Dr. Hobbs,
I've got a calendar.
Who's got, what's that Monday?
The 18th.
Okay, the motion is the Monday the 18th and the Tuesday the 19th, starting at either 8:30 or 9 o'clock. What's best for the board? Is 9 o'clock too late?
I think it's fine. Go ahead and make it in your motion.
All right, I'll
9
make a motion
o'clock.
that Meet on the 18th and 19th at 9 o'clock here in this room with Jim Enzor, or preferably Jim Enzor, being the facilitator.
Now, so you are suggesting moving our retreat from the library to here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The library got a little tight for me.
Okay. We all heard the motion, and all of this can be considered in your vote. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor of this motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? So the ayes have it. It is the 18th and 19th, and we will have it here in this room.
And Mayor, and members of the board, if you have an item, and I jotted down the ones that Commissioner Moore just mentioned, but if you have an item, specific things that you'd like to discuss, we'll have, the staff will generate some, but if you have any, let me know in the next few weeks so that it can be presented at the January meeting for the whole board to weigh in on, because we'll start working on an agenda as soon as we I get an idea of what items we'll talk about. So please give me your thoughts.
Okay. All right, let's start down to my right. And Commissioner Hobbs, you have any comments?
No.
Then, yeah?
I do. The first thing is back on our calendar, talking about calendars. On December the 14th is, and I just had total lost what we're doing on December 14th.
Maybe you're throwing a Christmas
December the 14th is what, Chief Green? Shop with a Cop. And I have my donation right here to give you today. Shop with a Cop, I don't know if all of you are familiar with that, but Chief Green, Major Spencer, and a tremendous amount of their staff and the staff from the school take children that have been looked at that actually need a little extra, and they take them shopping. And it's quite a fun day from what I've seen. I'm always jealous when I get to see the pictures of how much fun they're having, letting these children have a specific amount of money. And they have to pick out some clothing with this money, but they also are allowed to buy something that they want. They take the money that they're allotted each child, and they have to buy clothing with some of it, but then they're also allowed to do their own shopping, so they get what they want. Then on December the 15th is, there are actually 4 departments within the town of Farmville that are helping with this, but it is the movie, which is the Polar Express at the Farmville Community Arts Council, and it is free, but you have to get an advance ticket through the library. And I don't know how many tickets they have left. About 100 tickets out of the ones that they had. I think there were 211. So if anybody wants to attend that, it's a free event. Will be lots of fun for adults as well as children. And the other thing is that I would like for you all to pray that 40% chance of rain that they say is going to happen on Saturday does not happen. Because last year we had a very wet parade, and this year we need to have, we have a cold one, but I need a dry one. So 12:01, bring it on.
I saw PM showers.
Oh, good, that's what I need to hear. So, but we have probably about, well, we're still adding as of when I left work, probably about 70 units so far. We had a really hard time getting bands this year for some reason, but the bands, but we have Farmville Central, which has grown from 13 band members to 30, which I'm very, very pleased, and told Dr. Linker that I was very happy with that, because that means that Farmville Central's program is growing. And so the parade will start at 10:30. At 10 a.m., there will be music on the, at the judges' reviewing stand, which will be at the corner of Main and Wilson. From 8 to 10, there will be a pancake breakfast to visit with Santa at the Christian church. We also have several restaurants that will be open that day. Of course, the Little Rocket, as well as the Roadrunner, is going to start opening on Saturday mornings, and they'll be open at 6 until 2 that day. And we're going to share all of that information when we send out our paperwork to our people coming in from out of town, our Shriners, our bands, everybody that's participating. We're going to share with them so that they know where they can go get something to eat prior to or after the parade. And that's all I have to say right now.
You talked about bands, and I do understand that. Do you know how many bands you have lined up already?
We have Farmville Central. I couldn't get anybody from Beddingfield to return my call, and I tried everybody, the principal, the band director. I've sent emails, everybody. And there is an ACT scheduled that a lot of the kids from the other schools were participating in, that they had already signed up, and so we couldn't get any of the other schools. But if you have a contact with Beddingfield,
I don't, but I know that they have come.
They've always come.
Yeah.
But I even tried the principal. I couldn't, and I can't get him to return my emails. And it's directly to him because it's on their website. I've sent it to the school, I've sent to the, everything, trying to get them to come.
One time, this was years back, they had a flat tire or something and couldn't get here in time, and we paid them anyway.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
So they've been very faithful about coming back.
Dr. Linker did not realize that we paid the schools. He and I were meeting last week or week before, and he did not realize that we paid them an honorarium to come perform. And he said he doesn't know that any other towns pay the bands. He said, I've never heard of anybody else doing it. I said, well, it was done prior to my group taking it over, and we've continued to do so, as well as the Shriners, because that's how they make money to help do all that they do. And we have 5 Shriners units coming, and we have a veterans motorcycle group coming in.
Corvette group.
A veterans Corvette group coming. We have every princess. Yes, this year I bet we've got 10. All these little princesses are going to be in their cars, and we've got 2 baseball teams, one the Farmville recreation team, as well as the Greene County team that won their championship. We've got the junior ROTC, and it's going to be a great parade as usual. And we have horses, and of course we have Santa, and I think I've probably got about 25 children on that float right now with Santa. So we're going to have a big float for them, and Dance Unlimited. We reached out to some new people this year that couldn't do it, but have asked us to go ahead and put them on the list for next year. So we're hoping that next year will continue to be as good as usual.
And how many professional floats do we have?
We have 3. They're very hard to sell. It's expensive. It's expensive, and but our relay team is, at this point, will probably we'll probably have a very decent donation to make to Relay for Life. So,
But has anybody dropped out? You said it's hard to sell. Has anybody dropped out?
that normally buys them, yeah. We had a couple that didn't. Alliance one was the very first check we got, and that was after they announced their closing. We've had a couple people that have, and when you tell them how, and we've gone up just a little bit over the years in the floats. We for a whole float, we only make about $100 on it. So it's not like we're making a ton of money. And but we have we got a little old man's car group coming from Snow Hill that I can't say because we're on camera, but anyway, we've got a lot. We're going to have a lot of things. So.
Well, maybe you can get Beddingfield or someone. I know that.
I mean, even if they could still come now, we can accommodate them. It's just that I can't get anybody to return my emails or calls, and I trust you. I mean, I check those emails constantly.
Well, we appreciate what y'all do, and I know it's takes a lot of work.
It does. It does. But we have some great help through our townspeople. I haven't grabbed Paul yet, but I hope he's going to help me at my intersection. Thank you very much. That have done it forever, and so the country club gives us golf carts. I mean, it's a good community effort.
Yeah,
and I will say one thing. I know that people come constantly. You know, we have done our very best not to ask the town for a dime of money, and we've succeeded for the last 5 years. So I'm very proud of that we can put it on and still make a little profit to make for our relay team.
Well, good. We appreciate it. And concerning Paul, he says getting those, and y'all call them dignitaries, I guess I call them invited guests. He said to get them in the car and get them rounded up was like what? Was like herding cats.
It's like herding cats.
That's exactly right. I agree with that.
We'll get them there.
All right, John.
I'd just like to say that tonight, with the high school coming, was a tremendous opportunity. And I'll say this more for Angela than the gallery. And I hope that this becomes a storyline in the paper, because so many people do read our local paper. We as citizens of Farmville, our biggest employer is our schools. Our schools. And it is important that this board have a vested interest in our schools. And when they come and ask us tonight for our help, and we realize the things that we've done and how we work hard and what the mayor has done and the efforts that we put in to get the school board to meet here at Farmville, it's important that we show up for that. It's important that we have a good show, and all you got to do is sit and watch them do their meeting just like here. It is important, but it is equally important if you get somebody that can listen to you, and I'm speaking to the board, if you can find anybody that will listen to you and explain how important it is that we recruit the teachers and administrators and employees to live within the Farmville vicinity, Farmville Fountain Park. It is so important, because I am of the opinion, the real estate people are of the opinion, that this is the key to Farmville, where these folks can mingle with their teachers, be involved with their teachers. The teachers come here, they go to our shops, and we as citizens and parents and grandparents have an opportunity to talk to the teachers. They tell us one-on-one what we need, and we can have the school system that everybody wants us to have. And I'm so glad to see those people here tonight. And Mayor, I want to thank you for following up on having that school board here, meeting here. I think it's going to be a standard of things that follow in years to come. And I just want us to stay involved and stay vested in those schools, because we do have an interest in what they do. And I think this board is what it did tonight.
Absolutely. And I might also comment that most of you remember an initiative that we had here a few years back called FACTS, and that's small area coming together for schools. And we had some donations, and because of volunteers, and this was a volunteer base, it was only possible through volunteers, so we had to drop it. But we still had some funds left, and I've been involved with it, and we have granted $200 a year for mini grants for Farmville School. And we've done that for probably the last 10 years. So just wanted y'all to know that as we talk about what we do for the schools and how we can help them, that you have that information. All right, I guess that's it. Everybody had a chance to make a comment, so now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this
Okay.
meeting.
Motion by Commissioner Elks that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We stand adjourned. Thank you.